Hello, hello, and welcome to the Wheel of Games. Today we're going to be playing something a little bit different. This game is called Tin Can, and it's a fairly hardcore survival game where you are a colonist leaving Mars towards space unknown when something happens on your ship and you're forced to eject in an escape pod. But the escape pods aren't very well maintained, and so you have to keep all of the systems running as best you can and hope for rescue. I'm playing this for the first time. I've only done a little bit of the tutorial stuff. I've not played it in full at all yet. So let's go through the tutorials really quick. It does provide some story and background, and we'll also go through
Hey,
the
Jerry, can you hear me?
in-game
Could
manual.
you do me a favor? I was supposed to do the maintenance of one of our old Medusa escape pod, but I'm stuck in the engine room fixing our damn reactor. Could you leave your cleaning trolley for a minute and help me out? Just get inside the pod. You can't miss it. You're right next to it. This pod is a piece of junk, not worth any maintenance, but I don't make the rules. Anyway, I was supposed to reassemble the oxygen system. Could you do it for me? It's pretty straightforward.
Okay, so our very first objective here is it's teaching us how to assemble a system. The escape pod is made up of a large number of systems. We even have this nice technical manual that will explain all about them. Like the oxygen generator, just as an example. The overall basic information about them is in here, but it's not going to really tell you how to deal with them. But it does have lists of error codes and useful information there. So tutorial 1, we need 2.
Yep, this is the one. As you can see, it's empty. All the components are behind you on the workbench. Just grab a couple so we can get started. Just put all the components back inside the oxygen system. You can't get it wrong. They all only fit in their respective spots. I'll be right back.
Okay, so we can see it's given us a bunch of components. All of the systems on the ship are made to be interchangeable, so the battery we have in our left hand would fit in all sorts of other systems as well. Like, it would be the same large battery in the CO2 scrubbers, as an example. And it won't let us put it in the wrong place. I tried to put the wrong thing in there and it just took from my hand. So at least you don't have to worry about putting things in the wrong spot. But it's left click and right click for the two hands to pick things up and place them into the system. Even the button on the outside. Let's see, yep. Air pump, data connector. This has to deal with gases, so it needs a pump to work. Data connector connects the computer to the system. And finally, the two switches. Yes, and a buzzer. The alarm in case things are going wrong. And a data monitor.
You should be done by now. Just turn the oxygen system on using the on-off switch. Well done. Now we just need to check if everything is working properly. Could you look at the monitor and... Perfect. Now, as you can see, the oxygen bottle inside the system is empty. Could you swap it with the oxygen bottle located in the recycling station?
Okay, so right now the error list is showing us useful codes. That is because the main computer is online. If that computer gets turned off or is disabled for some reason, we only see ugly error codes instead, and we'd have to look them up using the manual that I tossed on the floor somewhere. Yeah, all of the error codes are in here. Let's see, where's that system again? So NA82, if we look down in the middle of the page, is low pump. So having the main computer online is nice. I'm sure that will be online all of the time for us, and we definitely won't have to do things the hard way. But it translates the codes into useful things. So, oxygen bottle. This is the CO2 to O2 station, where we would take...
That's the one. The recycling station converts carbon dioxide into oxygen. Pretty useful, eh? Anyway, just replace the empty bottle with this full one and we'll be done. All right, we're done. Thank you, Jerry. You can go back to your cleaning trolley.
Okay,
Wait, damn
green
it.
line.
Are you still there? I'm detecting a leak in the pod. Could you get the leak feeler? You might have to
Feeler.
climb a bit. You can grab a handle with your free hand to get closer to the leak.
Okay, this is a game that's actually meant for VR.
Once you
Although,
get closer to the leak, just aim at it and well done. I'm not detecting any leak anymore. We're all good. Thanks for your help. Anyway, I gotta go. This damn reactor is driving me crazy.
that's tutorial number 1. The tutorials are pretty quick, so I figured it'd be best to go through them with
Jerry?
you so you can
Can you hear me?
the same
Sorry
context.
to bother you again, but I'm stuck in the ship's engine room, and I still don't have time to take care of that damn Medusa escape pod. You're gonna have to get inside the pod again. We're going to check to see if the life support systems of the pod are working properly. I'm gonna need you to turn them on one by one so we can check their values on their monitor. So on Earth, at sea level, the atmospheric pressure is 1 bar, and the oxygen level is around 20%. That's our target. As you can see, we're all good here, and the value is green. But if the value turns red and drops below 16%, you'll find yourself in hypoxia. It's not a good thing, as you can imagine. The opposite is also true. Too much oxygen can also be deadly, so always keep an eye on these values. So, the pump inside the oxygen system diffuses the oxygen contained inside an O2 bottle into the air. Below the oxygen system, you'll find the carbon dioxide scrub. Good. You have to be aware that too much CO2 in the air is just as deadly as not having enough oxygen. Your body breathes O2 in and exhales CO2. The value should never rise above 6% at 1 bar. Now let's check the pressure generator. So this system is here to maintain the atmospheric pressure at 1 bar by releasing or capturing nitrogen in the air. The pod cannot sustain more than 1.7 bar, so be careful with too high pressures. It's also important to remember that the required oxygen levels and the lethal levels of CO2 vary depending on pressure.
The higher the pressure, the lower the amount that you need.
All right, we're good for the atmospheric systems. Now let's turn the temperature system on. It must be getting quite cold in here.
They're also teaching us where these components are. The main computer, right above the door. Temperature is above the seats. Let's see what this does.
You know, space is cool, but there is nothing there to efficiently transfer heat. I mean, sure, without heating you'll eventually freeze to death, but in a pod like this one, equipped with a hot atomic pile, you need some way to stay cool if you don't want to be cooked.
Atomic pile is the heat source. We'll see that in just a moment under the main power generator.
The temperature system uses power to produce heat and liquid nitrogen to cool the air. I can tell you that cooling the air is very important when you're running the atomic pile at full power. Alright, you should be feeling warmer now. Everything looks to be in order. Thanks for your help. You can go back to your work. And I have my own work to do to make sure our ship's reactor doesn't cook us all in the next few hours. See ya.
This next one's a bit more involved. How does the
Hey
power
Jerry,
work?
it's me again. I need your help with the pod. So I was installing a new atomic pile inside the pod, and guess what? I had to go back to the engine room of our ship because the reactor is acting up again. So could you get inside the pod?
Our mop seems positively petrified into place. Clearly we're the janitor.
So I'm going to cut the external power connection so we can test the new atomic pile. It's going to get dark in here, but don't worry, we'll bring life back to that old tin can, alright?
Everything's going to be running on batteries.
Right, I need you to find the main reactor. It's located on the ceiling above the gravity generator. I need you to open it. Yep, you got it. Now just turn it on, alright? Perfect. You shouldn't see much of a difference right away. It takes a moment for the atomic pile to warm up. The hotter it gets, the more power it produces.
Yep, we've got our nice nuclear reactor with its own little shield there that I cannot take off because it looks like it's bolted in. That's good.
Do you see the ammeter below the generator? So the red needle
Yes, I do.
indicates the energy produced by the pile, and the blue one indicates how much energy the active systems need to function. As you can see, it's above the red one. It means that the pile is currently not warm enough to produce all the required energy.
Blue is the usage. And as we turn these systems on and off, you'll see that the blue line goes further down.
Now, I'm going to remotely lock the pile temperature for some tests, but in normal circumstances, it's the processor plugged into the main generator that controls this temperature to provide the required amount of power. I guess I don't need to tell you what happens when it breaks down, huh?
Where's the processors? I see connectors, buzzers, maybe it's down below. Well, I'm sure I'll be able to find it when I need it. Oh, that's right.
See,
you can...
the pile temperature is stabilized and the needle is not moving anymore. Could you turn the main computer on so I can look at the system status?
Well, I was expecting to see a processor component in here, but essentially there's computer bits. Okay.
Damn it, I've locked the temperature too soon. And there isn't enough power. Could you turn other systems off so we can save enough power to turn the main computer back on? Just keep an eye on the needles. You need to align them.
See, that reduced it a little bit. We don't need those main lights right now. Temperature. Solely for the test. Oh, it's still too low.
Perfect. I'm getting the data. Thank you. If you ever have to operate an atomic pile, keep in mind that it's slow, capricious, and that it can get very, very hot. So always make sure to protect your systems with a fuse and a transformer in case of overload.
So for the sake of this tutorial, this remote engineer has locked down the pile so that it won't produce energy above a specific point. In theory, this thing is supposed to react to what your energy usage is, and it warms up or cools off the pile so that it's producing enough energy. But if you switch a system that's using a ton of energy off, then it's suddenly going to be producing a lot more energy than it needs, and it's sort of like a power surge to the other systems. And that's why there's like fuses and stuff in place. And like the fluctuating power can damage systems. I'm not sure if they all have fuses in them. But that's what these, like the power transformers are meant to do, is reduce... Ah, there's a fuse. So the fuse would protect the system in case we suddenly lose a heavy component and we're producing a lot more power than we need. And before this thing can go down to reduce the amount it's producing. So this thing should be reacting to our needs. Hopefully it's working properly.
Anyway, it seems the new atomic pile is working fine, so that's it for me, and you can get back to your cleaning.
Okay, that's how the power works. There's a nuclear reactor in there, so it's not like we have to worry about the main energy source running too hot or too cold. It's more like its change in how much energy it's producing is what we're going to have to work off of. As well as like the batteries. Each of those different components has batteries. I imagine once our escape pod is not connected to the ship anymore and it's running off of batteries, we're going to have to charge those batteries off of the pile. I'm pretty sure somewhere there is a battery battery recharger. See if I can find that.
Jerry, I know, this is the last time, I swear. Just get back inside the pod. There is a problem with the oxygen system you reassembled earlier. I'm not saying it's your fault, but I need you to take... Thanks again, man. You have no idea how much work it is to keep this escape pod in working order. Honestly, I would rather die than have to escape in this thing, even after a bunch of repairs.
Oh, how cute. It's a model of the escape pod.
Anyway, the oxygen system has a problem, and I need you to check the error codes channel on its monitor.
Okay.
Perfect. You should have the error list in front of you. The main computer usually translates the codes, but I had to take it offline for a while. I need you to find the pod operation manual. Everything you need to know about the pod is in it, including the error codes.
Okay. I briefly touched on the manual before.
Unfortunately, I can't really help you from here, so I'll let you browse the manual to find what the error codes mean. I'll let you grab the defective component once you figure out which one it is. Oh, and do not forget to turn the system off before touching anything, alright?
Dangerous to touch it when it's still on. So, I think we should also definitely go over what all of the systems are. I think I'll go into the sandbox mode after this so we can have the main computer on when we do that. But there is a error codes list. So now that the main computer is off, OBEA, some of them are in the middle of the page. Thankfully, they are at least all bolded. So that's page 31. I see an OBEA. So we scroll down to page 31 really fast. It's a bad power transformer. Okay, and it's not protecting the system from power surges. So we know which component it is. It's a bad transformer. So we turn it off, open up the cabinet, and...
Yeah, I had a feeling this transformer wasn't working properly. I need you to use the repair station to fix it. Put the transformer inside it, and it will tell you how... Do you see the numbers on the repair station? So the top screen indicates how many spare parts are required to fix the components, and the bottom one, how many you currently have. So we don't have enough. We need to dismantle something else to get more spare parts. Just take the transformer out of the repair station. Alright, so let's dismantle a component we don't need. I think I left a monitor on the workbench. Put it inside the repair station, close the door, and press the dismantle button. Well done. You now have enough spare parts to fix the transformer. You can throw the monitor away, it's dead now anyway. Just put the transformer inside the repair station and press repair.
Interesting. So it holds the spare parts inside of itself, it looks like. Oh, there it goes. So as things break, we're going to be slowly having less and less components to work with. We may have to swap...
the transformer back inside the oxygen system. Make sure it's turned off first, alright? Once you're done, you can turn it back on.
No, it is still turned off.
Well done. You're really doing me a favor, so thank you. You can get back to your cleaning trolley, and I'm going to get back to work because this damn reactor is driving me mad.
Let's see, was that it for the tutorial? Go back to your cleaning trolley.
Jerry, the ship's cooling system just failed.
Warning.
The reactor is going to blow.
Lockdown imminent.
You need to grab as many components as you can in the storage rooms and evacuate.
This is not a drill.
Right now. No matter what you do not leave aboard that damn...
Evacuate to the nearest escape pod immediately. This is
Okay.
not a
It puts us... That's basically the setup for the game. Uh-oh. Grab as much as you can and get out there. Kind of reminds me of the, there was a game called, like, 60 Seconds or something to Survive, where you first iteration of it was sort of a nuclear apocalypse test. You got the alert, and you have to grab as much stuff from the house as you can, get it down into the shelter, and then make it down there with as many people as you could. I don't know if we're going to be doing that in the game. Like at the start, you have to get into the escape pod with as much stuff as you can for spare parts, or not. The last thing I want to do before we actually start playing proper is open up the sandbox, because then we can just look at the systems. Let's see. Oh, the Medusa Mark III, I think that's what we want to... Okay, so it's still sort of a in-the-game mode, but I guess everything's going to be working in this one. So that we can just examine the components, sort of get familiar with it. It's all quiet. Okay. Looks like we've got... Maybe we can dismantle these for spare parts. Maintain the right or left click pressed. Are we in... Okay, it is still giving us some information. Oh, maybe that's the temperature control system. Yes, the rescue beacon. Out of order for maintenance. We'll fix it all for the 5 p.m. inspection. It's not like anyone's going to need to use this old tin can anyway. Haha. Sector 4... Ing. And smiley face. Ah, that's fun. Doesn't seem like I can interact with it. The blue handles, I can move up or down. Looks like gravity is still on for us, but if the gravity generator went offline, then we can use these handles to move ourselves, just in case our regular movement is restricted. And I mentioned before, this game is entirely playable within VR, so I'm certain this would look quite amazing in that kind of a setup. And this would probably be very natural. And that's also why there's like left click, left hand, right click, right hand sort of thing, is each one of those handles you'd be pointing at something. And it looks like it's in the upper left, it's giving us some stats. I don't know if that's only because we're in sandbox mode or because the main computer is online. That's nice. Can I open up the main computer? I can. I should definitely turn it off before messing with anything. Yeah, data components. Okay, let's look through this manual really quick before we go into a... I guess I should do it in the right hand because we've got that game monitor up. Okay. So, the pod technical manual. It's a nice table of contents to skip straight to some systems. So the vital information panel, there it is. This one provides quick information about all of the systems in the pod. It can function without power and is damage proof. So they've given us something that at the very least we can always refer to this thing. It won't be precise, but it looks like it has the quick reference of everything we'll need so that it will have something that we can refer to in times of emergency. The lights also affect the readability of this information, and it gives you the information. A lot of this is what we went over the tutorial, but you can have it here for reference. So the atomic pile temperature, red one is the current, and blue shows what we need in terms of energy. So the red one, based on what it said in the tutorial, the red one will always sort of try to reach the blue one. There's a processor inside of our main generator. The main generator's the ceiling. So something about this, there's a processor, and it will always smartly try to adjust its power output to match what we need. Yep, the power it's producing, along with the temperature of the pile itself. Nice, I didn't see that last time we looked at it. So we can see that, drop that for a second. We can see that it has a large transformer, a high capacity fuse, large power connector. Oh, that's just the handle. But we'll make it easier to see these parts. It's got its own little buzzer. Ah, there's a processor. Okay. These are the parts that make up the system. We may have to cannibalize things in the future, so it's good to just know that this has the high capacity variation of all of the different components we would need. And to send that back up into the sealer, just my main use button is F. We don't have the camera this time. That's nice. And some more things I think we can cannibalize for parts. Oh, that's cute. Let's see. Oh, where did you go? It rolled around. Oh, you don't exactly have a throw. Maybe if I hold it down. Nope. It immediately wants to just drop. So, hey, I was hoping for an achievement. The most important system has been tested. Okay, back to our manual. So there's the atomic pile. The amp meter is how much power is being generated, whereas the one on the top was heat, which the heat gets transformed into power. So the blue needle is more specifically amperage, how much you need. So those two needles should be entirely in sync with each other. The atmospheric temperature indicator, it also tells you at what point you would be in danger. Breathability levels, that one's just red and green. Let's see, one of these other systems should have the more detailed information about it. Yeah, the carbon dioxide information, so you've got 18%, looks like that's dropping slightly. Ah, looks like we actually have something wrong. Empty can. Okay, let's do the switch as it taught us in the tutorial. And there, we've already fixed a problem, just as we were going through them in the tutorial. So I've reset that one. Dirty filter. Oh, press F to clean. Okay. Do you also have a filter? Nope, just the carbon dioxide one. Oh, full can. Well, at least that one's very easy to figure out. And looks like, yep, now the carbon dioxide's not filling up anymore. That was a nice low pressure fixed situation. And the breathability is going back up. Wasn't even intending to test that, but I suppose that's something you have to do from time to time. Regardless, and then you can see, yep, those two are swapping back into position. And the 4 different indicators, and what the ideal levels are. So great, we solved that one. We already took a look at the main generator, we brought that down from the ceiling. Beware, it can take some time for it to heat up, and make sure everything has power transformers and fuses to avoid damaging them. So if I have to disassemble fuses for spare parts, I may want to remember to turn systems off before taking offline something that requires a lot of power. Let's see, we are running off of the batteries right now. So let's just take a look at like these batteries. If we take them out, we can recharge them in this charging station. And that would bring the power requirements way up or way down when we're using them. Let's see, I'll have to check the audio mixing. The music's fairly loud. In-game? Yeah, I've already turned it down a bit. Let's turn it down a little bit more. I can balance it in post if I have to. So, main generator. The oxygen generator we used inside of the tutorial. Here's reminders of what it would be. And at pressure dropping, the oxygen level would hopefully go up, but that's a fire hazard. CO2 scrubber and pressure stabilizers. It's some nice reference information about what's good for those. The temperature manager we also saw in the tutorial, above the seats. So we're at a decent temperature there. And the lighting systems. you can actually open those up. Ah, they're underneath the hoop. And that has its own batteries and fuses, and it makes note that the emergency lights use a lot less power. Do you even have a fuse? Or a battery, I mean. Because I can turn them off. I see a power transformer, a fuse. I don't see a battery. So the emergency lights have a battery. They will turn on... Okay, the backup lights turn on if the main lights get turned off. They automatically turn on and start drawing from battery. Okay, I don't see a battery on those, so I suppose that's something that the main generator is supplying the power for. And if we turn a system on, maybe the main lights would go offline for a bit until power keeps up again. The gravity generator. Let's play with the gravity. So yeah, if processors go funky, it can mess with your systems. So we're at 1 times Earth gravity. Looks like it has its own battery. Data connector, which links it up to the main computer. It has 2 processors in it. Let's see, looks like that isn't anything. It's got a large power connector and transformer. So everything's large on the main power and the main gravity. Let's just turn this off for fun. Okay, I am now freely floating. I can't make myself... Oh, it looks like I can go up very slowly. But if I grab that, then I can freely control where I am in the pod. So you can make do without having the power for that on, but you... There we go, and we're back. Looks like it's just straight... Oh, hey! I didn't even notice that that stuff was starting to float too. And then... Oop. Okay. So we've got our nice gravity generator in the floor. The information we need to know about that. Once on battery, it may lower its consumption to maximize length of operation. So if the battery's getting low, we may experience skim levels of power. And our main computer, that's above the door, right here. Yep, status list of all systems in the pod, and makes the errors readable so you don't have to go look at the error codes. It'll just say bad transformer or something as opposed to OBEA2, whatever it was. Yep, and if this is offline, all your error codes are going to look funky. All that stuff still looks good. Ah, the fast battery charger. That's what we were looking at before. So it looks like this thing. I think that's the battery charger? Yeah, it says battery fast charger over on the side there. Looks like it's rotated to the side. It draws a very high amount of power, so it will reduce power to other systems until the atomic pile can adjust, and when you move the battery, so this is the main thing you have to watch out for with all those fuses, because this thing draws a ton of power, but it will recharge all those batteries we saw in the other components. Airlock. Please do not open the airlock. Make sure you are docked properly to pull, so hold on. Oops, that was the hand I was holding this with. And once unlocked, you can simply pull the door towards the inside. Do not do this while you are in space, it says. The CO2 recycling station. We can see that it has finished turning the CO2 back to oxygen with its scrubbers. And we saw the repair station in that last tutorial. We have no spare parts right now. Let's give it a try seeing what it does with this can. Drop it inside. Nope, it's not going to let me dismantle this can for parts. Too bad. This station also has its own transformers and switches and whatnot. And not useful. About this, will you let me dismantle that? Okay, these are just there for show then, I guess. A bed we can't actually use. Has its own little light. Sticker down there. Okay, enough playing around with the repair. Oops. The repair station. Spare parts are inside. Looks like we'll have to find things to dismantle to get those parts, though. Ah, and then these are the components that we're repeatedly seeing within each of the different modules. And it tells us what happens when those parts are damaged or not working correctly. Monitors. If they're damaged, they shut down intermittently. The on-off buttons. You may have to press the buttons multiple times to get them to switch. Buzzers. Alarm at bad times or will not alarm if they are damaged. The alarm buttons. Again, false alarms and won't turn on when you need them. Data connectors will make your data bad. If the batteries are damaged, they store less power. Pumps don't work properly. If those are damaged, they have less flow. Power transformers stop transmitting power. Power connectors deliver unstable power. And again, they just tend to not work. If the fuse is bad, it'll trigger below or even worse, above its original threshold. Processors. The more it will cause anomalous behavior in the systems that are equipped with it. Uh-oh. Oh, the carbon dioxide scrubber. Oh, didn't mean to pull that off. Need to clean the filter. Press to reset. It's still in caution mode, so it didn't clear when I hit the button. But that's a good example of the buzzers we were just talking about in action. And the bottles, looks like the bottles can't be damaged. The atomic pile, you do not have the proper ability to try to fix that. And then the detailed error codes, if we have to look them up coming to a specific. These will help us diagnose things, probably in very poor lighting. And that is it for all of the different systems. Ah, fun. So, I imagine if you are able to find spare resources before you go in, if you had spare electronics, they would be in here. Doesn't look like we get any, though. Oh, even the battery charger has its own transformers. And its own on-off button. See what else I can open and close. So this is the CO2 scrubber. This could be damaged. That'd be bad. Oh, oxygen's dropping. Doing last... So, right. I did not turn it off last time. Swap those out. Turn it back on. Yes, yes. It's still in warning territory, but then I can clear the lights. Okay. So, you can rip those lights out and put them onto other systems. Excellent. Well, I think that's it for our tutorial session here on learning about how all the different systems work. So let's see what happens. Simply pull the door towards the inside of the pod. Unlock. Pull door. Oh, scroll wheel? Whee! Seems it's not going to let me actually leave. Take that. You seem to be a bit dizzy. It's nice of them to warn me for that. So, scroll wheel opened that. Okay. Well, let's go back to the main menu. I was hoping for an explosive decompression, but it looks like it's going to make you run out of oxygen or something else. So next time, we will go into the rescue mission. Well, after playing the first couple of missions, this game is very stressful, especially the sound effects for the main character starting to suffocate are really intense, and I think it's too intense for me to be able to show on YouTube. I can definitely imagine that being like a panic attack trigger, so when it starts to get intense, this game reminds me a lot of an old movie where they were talking about like the space program to test how well the astronauts could handle different conditions. They would throw all these warning lights and all kinds of like steam coming at them and something like that. This really is like a panic simulator. I'm pretty sure like the tutorial stuff is okay. The worst we got in that was when I was trying to like force the depressurization in the last tutorial. And like he started breathing a little bit, but it gets really intense, especially when the lights are out, everything's going wrong. It gets very intense. I thought this one might be more lighthearted. There's another game called Breathedge that is a much more comedic take on your ship crashing, and in that one you're like leaving your escape pod and you've got a little oxygen meter, and is a much more comedic take on things. This one is a much more realistic, survival, stressful game than I was expecting from the stuff on the store page. So definitely content and trigger warnings for this one. If that kind of thing doesn't get to you, and you can sort of figure out, okay, these are like what makes up these systems, so that you can essentially repair the thing blindfolded, figure out how to deal with gravity going out. This game could be fun. It's very stressful, and it looks like really that fixing the escape pod. The escape pod is the game. They're not kidding when they call it Tin Can. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.